once I take that step over the threshold, that fear that was huge, like one step back is a little bit less. And then next step, it's less. Next step, it's almost gone, you know?
Hey guys, welcome to our SoulFam Podcast, where I interview space holders from all over the world. I am your host. My name is Karolina, and I am the connection catalyst. I help spiritual entrepreneurs experience deeper connection with themselves, with others, and with the universe. Today on the show, we have LeRoy, the action mindset coach. Hey, welcome to the show, LeRoy. How are you doing?
Thank you so much for that introduction, Caroline. I'm doing really, really well. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing really well, apart from the technology not really working for me very well recently, despite Mercury is not in retrograde. So I always blame it on the Mercury. Maybe I can blame it on the moon now, because it was a full moon like maybe 2 days ago. So
Yeah, it's perfect.
I can just blame it on, I'm
you.
just going to blame it on the moon. Although this moon in Aries is apparently about commitments and stuff, but maybe I'm just not committed enough to my technology or whatever, because it's just really not working well for me recently.
Hey,
but you know, we're going to roll with whatever. And yeah, my listeners probably are already sick of me laughing at technology, because recently it seriously just doesn't work. But yeah, we are not here to talk about this, or in Australia, they actually have this saying, I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but do you know that in Australia they say we are not here to fuck spiders? Did you know that they have a
No,
it's
I
kind
never
of
knew
like, we're
that.
not here to, you know, bullshit around or whatever, but they literally say we're not here to fuck spiders. When I heard it for the first time, I was like, what? But anyway, we're not here
Add it
to
to my
do this.
vocabulary.
Yeah. So we're not here to do this. We're here to talk about courage and other beautiful things and spiritual journey and everything. So how about we start from your spiritual journey? How did you become the action mindset coach? Because every beautiful coach and healer has a story behind how they got to do what they are doing. So I'm really curious to hear, how did it all start for you?
Yeah, I'd probably take it back to way back, maybe, I don't know, 10 years ago at this point, when I started as a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner. And I really kind of took to that a lot. It was really important to me, but I kind of learned that that was not kind of my calling. And what was my calling was professional wrestling. Kind of like WWE style of wrestling. Like WrestleMania is happening last night and tonight, which is really cool. We're talking about that, but that kind of led me on my own kind of journey where courage was needed at every turn. And the first bit of courage I needed was kind of getting over what people thought of me and what people found acceptable as ways to live my life. And kind of that pursuit of professional wrestling, which I did for 6 or 7 years. By the end of it, I was like, okay, what's next? And what did I really love about that? And really making those discoveries about myself is what I loved. So moving from being a professional wrestler and into this world of coaching, well, I guess that's one half of the story. The other side of the story is I have been a fitness coach for 13, almost 14 years. And I kind of got sick of it only being about the body and what I was doing with my body and helping other people do stuff with their body. But I love the coaching aspect, and I love the aspect of helping people grow. I just kind of started listening to motivational podcasts, looking for like better words, you know, words that would go deeper with people, words that could help me stress the importance of, hey guys, we're here for your body, but it's not just about your body. Like this is practice for everything else. And really started to preach that message, and kind of down that path of mindset coach on my own. I maybe came across the need to heal, a lot of stuff. And I guess that led me to plant medicine. Plant medicine led me to, kind of reaching my higher self. I feel like I've always been, getting the whispers from my higher self. But kind of taking my medicine journeys and making it, it was first body, then it was mind, and then it was like, yo, no, there's spirit too. There's spirit too. And I need to I want to hit every part, every part of my being here, inside and above, or wherever, my higher self truly lives. So it's been a wild ride. I think my first kind of step into kind of the spiritual realm was learning how to do Reiki, which for me is almost a little bit over a year ago at this point, and kind of running with that. And like that was like me dipping my toe in. And now I feel like I'm way in with Reiki, bro, with more plant medicine, with the way I coach people and really focusing on the healing and using that healing to gain courage to find what you really want to do and then go do it. So it's a little bit.
Amazing. I love it. And it's so cool how you're like, oh, there is a body. Okay, but there is more than a body. There's a mind. Oh, but there is more than a mind. And you kind of like go beyond and beyond to all of these layers of yourself. That's amazing. I love your story. And so out of curiosity, what's your first plant medicine experience that you've done?
My first one was was mushrooms in maybe last August or September. And that was like more casual, like me and just kind of figuring out in that journey, man, I got to go back to that. It was definitely more of a, okay, what is this like? What is it like to really let go? And that really rocked my world. Like it was like, yo, I'm here, but I'm like everywhere at the same time. And I'm trying to think my big takeaway from that. I remember being a rough night. I remember going through some stuff that I don't know I want to talk about on the podcast today, but it was just a new way to see myself, a new way to see the world, and definitely kind of walked away from it, like ready to kick more of those doors down. No, you've probably had this experience if you have done plant medicine.
Yes.
All right, yeah. So you probably had this experience. Yeah, just making sure. You probably have this experiences where it was like, okay, I went there and I'm like, when it was done, I was like, oh no, I'm not done there. I need to go back, So it was big time, that experience of, all right, what's the next journey I want to do? And then the next one, and then the next one. And since then, I did another maybe big mushroom trip or two. I did an MDMA therapy, which was guided with a really good friend of mine who kind of opened me up to some other ideas around plant medicine that I might have been close to before. And then I had my first ayahuasca journey in January, and that all of them just huge takeaways. And if I could say there's one theme that has carried through most of them, it's that I need to get right with mom, I need to get right with dad. And like I've done some parent wound healing before, but this was next level. And I saw a lot there. So wow. Those are the biggest things. Yeah.
That sounds really, really good. I'm curious to know because you didn't mention Kambo, and I've just had a podcast recently with Kambo, and you are the courage coach, and that's why I wanted to speak about it for two reasons. One reason is that Kambo is a medicine that doesn't have fear, right? It's like a frog that cannot be eaten because it has no fear because it cannot be eaten because it has poison, right? Yeah. So animals are gonna trip on Kambo if they eat it. So that's why it brings a lot of courage to people, and that's what I felt. But also I feel like me and my best friend, we were laughing that like when you do Kambo, the most courageous thing in your life you can do is to take Kambo for the second time, because it's so
oh my God.
so crazy, and it's so just like you cannot just handle it. And of course it's short, so you can handle these 15 or 20 minutes of shit, right? Feeling really, really like shit. But we were just laughing that it's kind of like a funny thing to say. Like, if you think you're courageous, go and try to do Kambo for the second time, because for the first time you don't know what to expect. But for the second time, it's like, oh my God, I know what I'm getting myself into, and I'm still doing it. This is the real courage there. You know what I mean?
Yes. I've heard about a frog or toad or something. Like that's all I'd heard. And then honestly, maybe in the last month or so, I've seen more about Kambo, and I'm like, oh, that's what that is.
Ooh, I didn't it's calling you, maybe.
I think it's calling me. I totally think it's calling me. And I've been here just contemplating. I'm like, I know the next medicine thing is coming up, and I think I have a friend that actually does it that was talking about having a ceremony here where I live in Chicago. So hey, I'm definitely down for it. And you just taught me something about like it's an animal without fear. So like how courageous it is to take it. I'm down for it. I just haven't had the opportunity
Well,
yet.
if you're a courage coach, then it's almost like a imperative to do
I
this,
need to. I need to.
I mean, look, this is just what I think that is the most courageous thing to do, but maybe it's,
Yeah.
maybe not. And actually, my surname Kuraj is Kuraj in Romanian, and it means courage. So it's Karolina Kuraj. So
Ah.
I kind of feel like I'm also a little bit courageous, at least a little bit. And so I think I would love to talk about courage in general, because I feel like we sometimes have a lot of misconceptions about what it is, misinterpretations about what it is. Because I feel like some people think that courage is when there is lack of fear. And I don't actually really believe that. And I wanted to ask you, what's your opinion and definition of courage? Because that could be very like differently perceived, let's say, by different people.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't like the lack of fear definition. You're totally scared, and at some point you let go. Maybe not let go of the fear, but act in spite of the fear. Act with the fear. Use the fear even to help propel you forward. I think if we drill down to that, so a full definition is to act even when you're afraid, because what you are trying to accomplish on the other side of using your courage uh, is is bigger, so much bigger than the feeling of fear that you have in that moment. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and I think about acting with courage for myself. Um, at some point, like it's like taking a step over the threshold. Once I take that step over the threshold, that fear that was huge, like one step back is a little bit less. And
Mm-hmm.
then next step it's less. Next step it's almost gone, because I'm doing the thing. And really that's what you use the courage to do the thing despite the fear. That fear is going to be gone. And truly what we should be scared of is staying with that fear, because that's I don't know if that's being alive, but acting in courage, that's when you feel fucking alive.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it
Absolutely,
means
yeah,
to me.
because otherwise you stay in your comfort zone and you don't expand. And when you expand your capacity for handling anything, then the fear can be gone. But also, I feel like I would love to ask you, because I feel like some people, for example, high achievers, they have this, let's say, program in their mind that they are never enough, and okay, I'm scared of it, I'm gonna go for it, and I'm gonna prove myself that I'm not scared of it or whatever. But I don't know if it's always healthy in terms of like, I understand that we need to act in spite of fear. And then when we do, actually it will turn out that, okay, it wasn't actually that scary, right? Because if we are there already and okay, I've already done, I'm already on stage speaking to people. It wasn't actually that bad as I thought originally. I'm still alive because, there is always survival. Fear is survival. So if you're like,
Yes.
oh, I'm alive here on stage, public speaking, and it's all good, then sure, this is an expansion and this is going outside of your comfort zone and it serves you, I believe, right? But what if someone has like the counterphobic approach in terms of that they are always going to do what they are the most afraid of? I feel like it sometimes can go in the wrong direction in a way that it might be very unhealthy. So what do you think about it? And also, if so, if it might become unhealthy, because I think it could be like a pattern of just going against your fear and not sometimes even not acknowledging that you're scared, just doing the thing anyway. So where is this line and how to
Mm-hmm.
discover it and when not to just take courageous steps in an unhealthy way?
Mm-hmm. I mean, if you're just doing shit because it scares you, what are you gaining? I always say, what is the end result? If and I feel like this person's kind of rare, but also I feel like now I'm gonna run into one and have to like work with them or something, right? And have to coach them through this as well. If you're just blindly, sorry, acting in spite of fear without a why attached to it, then of course you're just kind of gonna be pushing yourself to some limit for whatever reason. I don't know that fighting fear just to fight fear, if that's somebody's why, cool. I wouldn't speak against that, but you can absolutely be using kind of that action against fear, action against fear, action against fear. And I don't know, that could be an addiction of sorts. And even bigger, you hit the nail on the head already, not acknowledging it. I truly think with anything, right, with the shadow work, the ugly feelings that we don't want to feel as much of, fear is no different. If we're just going to be like, oh yeah, fuck that fear, I'm going to move right through it, that's less powerful than I'm scared. Here's why I'm scared. And I'm going to act in spite of it. There's so much more power there. Just slowing down, and like, even if it's for 5 minutes, less than that even, to just say, yes, I'm scared and I'm going forward anyway. I just think there's just so much more power there than just, plowing through it. So yeah,
because there's acknowledgement, and you don't act, let's say, fearing the fear. You don't act because of the resistance to fear. You act because of the preference to move forward, right? That reminds me of, I'm not sure if I was speaking about it on the podcast or not, but that just reminded me of this little framework of Teal Swan, who is my number one spiritual leader, I'd say, for me personally. And she said that there is spirituality 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0. And 1.0 is when you're like awake and you're like, oh my God, I create my reality. Everything is awesome. I'm just going to think all the positive thoughts. But then you actually like suppress all the negative shit. Then the 2.0 is like, oh my God, I have this shadow. I need to go there and I need to sort my shit because I was acting just resisting all the bad things. So then you go into 2.0 and you just do shadow work in there. And then 3.0 is when you already are okay with the shadow and you're okay with the light, but still you prefer the light. And so you choose and act and choose the thoughts and people and situations that bring you joy, but not from the place of I resist the negative shit, from the place of I'm okay if anything negative comes, but I still choose and prefer to live in this beautiful reality. And I feel like that's a beautiful way to put it in kind of like levels of development or whatever. And I can see it strongly in me. When I started, I was like, oh my God, love and light. And I was so just suppressing all the negativity because I just didn't know any better. I didn't know that these negative emotions are actually very valuable and they need to be acknowledged, because otherwise I'm going to create more and more suffering for myself internally, more and more resistance in myself. And so it's actually so important to, as you said, see it and be with it and first acknowledge it. And then when you understand, it might happen that when you actually sit with this process for longer, you're not going to have fear anymore, right? Because fear is emotion, it's energy in motion. So if you allow this energy to go out of you, shake it out, cry it out, shout it out, whatever else, then it's no longer really affecting you. It's no longer a filter on your reality that you're going to act with. You're going to be like, okay, now I don't have this fear anymore. I am at peace. I can go and do stuff. So I feel like there is two ways of approaching it. Like one is just feeling the fear, but knowing that, okay, if I do this thing, I will go expand and go beyond it. And then it's not going to be like, there's going to be no reason for this fear to exist anymore because it's already done, right? Or just sitting with the fear as it is, and then it's going to, at some point, go away, because the deeper you go into it, then the more it's gonna go away. But the problem is, I think that people are afraid to feel fear, so then they are not able to go fully to the full depth of an emotion when they are scared, because it's kind of like, if sometimes even people come to me like, okay, I need to go through this fear and I know how to do all these psychological methods on myself, psychotherapy or whatever, but fear is something I need to go through with someone, because then there is no escape, right? If you do it with a coach like you, it's like, okay, I'm going to hold you with this fear. Oh, you haven't felt it fully yet. Go deeper. And then you're able to actually like go there. But I feel like people are so scared of feeling afraid. So what would you say to these people who are just really paralyzed when they are about to feel afraid? Like what would be maybe something that could make it easier for them to step into it?
You already hit the nail on the head with that one too. You got to get help. I think fear, amongst all the emotions, so many of the other ones we can just sit. I feel like so many of the other low vibe emotions just make us be still anyway, and we can be still and be, clicking on Netflix or playing video games or going to sleep, like whatever, like, I'm thinking of like sadness, for example, or, even even anger, you know, you might be encouraged to go sit, or you can go move through it. The fear in and of itself, it's like you need to move away from something or move towards something to soothe it, you know, you know, when you're feeling it there, right? You can't just be still and just sit with it. And I think that's the natural thing to do. But if you have help with someone who has your best interest in heart, someone who's going to say, hey, remember when you said that you wanted to, you know, make so much money so that you could buy your family a new home so you didn't have to rent anymore, so you can give your kid a backyard, whatever. You remember that, right? Like this fear right here, you're feeling it, and it's okay to be feeling it. But now you need to go there, you know, you have to move in that direction. And I'm here to just give you a gentle nudge, a gentle reminder, because fear gets so loud that it doesn't matter what we said we wanted, right? In that moment, nothing matters more than not feeling that feeling. So having help to do that is, if you're not good at it anyway, is probably the first step. And I feel like many of us, you know, at those pivotal moments, those combo moments for you, maybe, you know, maybe we had some support there with us. There's a little support to let us know, hey, it's all right. You're feeling it. It's all right. And I think just that support at the beginning is going to lead to you having a body that can handle it. And accountability will always be a tool when we're trying to kind of press your life forward. But having a body that can handle it in the first place is just such a beautiful thing. And then you practice being with that fear as you are growing your life. And if you are growing your life, which it is my plan to constantly be growing my life, fear is probably somewhere around the corner and you're going to have to, once again, move through it. So I guess that comes down to, you know, if you're not good at it yet, and there are probably some people that are actually good at it by nature, but if you're not good at it yet, just get a little help at the beginning. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be plant medicine, doesn't have to be coaching, doesn't have to be therapy, whatever. It could be some mixture of all of it. But some help, I think, is always going to help us kind of step forward. And then comes the practice. You know, mm-hmm. If you want to be better at getting past fear, do something that's going to make you afraid mm-hmm. and try to move past it. And, you know, you could start little steps. And it just makes me think about fitness again. I work for Orange Theory Fitness, like kind of as I'm building my coaching business, and I've been there for 5 years. And as part of it's a treadmill class. And it's like, you know, if you're afraid to go 10 miles per hour and your cap is currently 9 miles per hour, you don't have to go right to 10 miles per hour. You can go 9.1, 9.2, 9.3. Those little things are building your confidence, your ability to do something that you're not sure you can do. You're afraid of it for that reason. You ain't going to fall off the damn treadmill, like whatever it is. Okay, just do a little bit more. It's always the bite size, you know, the something you can digest easily first before you take on the whole meal, for sure.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And that's so spot on. It brings me to one thing that I learned from the course of Jordan Belfort, Straight Line Persuasion, that I've been doing recently. And he was like saying to the audience, raise your hand. And then everyone raises your hand. No, he said, raise your hand as high as you can. And they raised their hand. And now raise it a little higher. And everyone just stretch a little bit to raise it high. And he's like, you can see you didn't raise your hand as high as you can at the first time, right? You raised it in a way that it's comfortable. But if you want to go a little bit beyond, a little bit outside of the comfort zone, you can still reach it, but it's going to be a little bit stretch for you, just a little higher. And in this way, it's kind of like you say, right? If you just take it a little step further and a little step further, and you take these small steps gradually, then you can finally go deep into your feelings or go do anything else that you want to do in your life. So that's really beautiful. And I also feel like, even for myself, I was not good at feeling emotions a few years ago. And now I'm a coach, and now it's my work, shadow work's my work. So obviously I do it on myself all the time. But when I started, I was just like, my mind, kept telling me all these stories, or why I cannot feel it, or why I should be distracted with something or whatever. And it came with practice. And it wasn't until maybe 1.5 years after I started doing a deep work where I could go into my feelings in a way that I full on had like a panic attack where I couldn't breathe from some abandonment trauma or whatever. But before that, I feel like my nervous system wasn't used to me going so deep. So I couldn't allow myself to be in this panic, in this fear. So I feel like, as you said, if you can expand your capacity more and more for feeling emotions, then you are okay with more and more extreme emotions as well. So you can go deeper and deeper into the fear. And it's okay if you don't go there straight away. It's okay if you cannot, reach this level of fear straight away, because sometimes your body or nervous system needs to get familiar with whatever is happening in your body, and how does the fear feel even, or what is it even, the emotion that I'm feeling, because some people struggle with that as well. So I really love what you're sharing. And yeah, help is necessary as well, I feel, at the beginning at least. And for me, I pretty much always work with fear with someone else, because it just keeps you so contained and so safe that you can go, I think, quicker, deeper. Just you can just straight away go there if someone is just embracing you with their love or with their energy. Just even online, if you're there, someone is holding space for you, can be way easier for you to actually drop in and to be with yourself and with these parts of you that actually need healing. Because yeah, it's really interesting. But I just kind of like want to share one story, just an example of how the fear in us can be created, and like which kind of trauma it was based on. Because once I had this situation where I went out of some place, some building, and I only had maybe like 100 meters to go in the middle of the night, maybe like 2 a.m. in Berlin, not my city, just a random city, where I had to go from my friend's place to the hostel that I was staying. And I saw some drunk man on the other side of the street, and I felt so anxious and so afraid. And I was like, oh my God, like something is gonna happen to me. They are drunk, and I had so much fear. And actually, I just want to share this because I think it's a little bit funny, but also a little bit awakening, like where this kind of fear can come from. Where I went back to this with the, let's say, therapy or the process that I do, completion process. I went back to when my mom or my grandma told me that if I don't eat my dinner or my lunch, then the neighbor is gonna come and grab me or whatever. And then the neighbor is gonna come and do something to me. And I imagined this neighbor as like a very big, man, not even looking like a human. I as a kid, I imagined him as like with a very ugly face, not even human face, like not even human body, just like a very big monster or whatever. And this very thought created so much fear that, okay, there is a man that can hurt me, something can happen to me, and so much anxiety. And it's almost funny because sometimes I feel like people are not aware of what they are creating in child's mind when they say something like this, like a neighbor will come and get you, or something will happen. And I was just like, oh my God, this one little situation created so much anxiety because I didn't even see this neighbor. I don't even know how he looks like, but in my mind, it looked so horrible that then I got scared. And then it brought so much fear around just men doing whatever to me, right? Being like, I don't know, just scared. And especially if they are drunk, so then they are out of control. So then I'm the only woman and there are a few men, and it's like, oh my God, right? So it's sometimes really, just strange where it's from little thing like that, something like a big anxiety can blossom, right? And that's why we need to go back to the original trauma, original shadow where it all started, because otherwise we can only work with the layers of the emotions and not going deep into the subconscious mind. But for me, it was like mind-blowing, and I feel like it's so common to make children afraid, and then we as adults have to just unlayer all these things, right? Just have to do so much work.
Yeah, that's why it's a parent's job to fuck us up as little as possible, as opposed to not fuck us up at all, because apparently it's normal that they are going to fuck us up somehow. My fear story with my mom, and my mom was pretty abusive physically when I was a kid, but what just brought it up for me is like, I was like, oh, what was my mom's threat, you know, if I didn't do something? And it was that she was going to beat my ass. That was her threat. And it just kind of made me think about like, there are like beatings that I remember big time. And there was one that was very central in my MDMA therapy that I remember. But like, how many times was that threat apparent, you know? And how like my frame became, you know, oh, I got to be good to, you know, not get my ass beat, right? Our relationship is entirely based on fear. I didn't tell my mom I loved her for years and years and actually feel it. And I you know, in the last maybe 6 months or so, that's something I can do. I can hug my mother, all that good stuff, which is the beauty of healing with this stuff. But you know, that fear based relationship, like that fear even existing in our relationship the way it did, like when I was like, all right, I'm big enough, like I'm not afraid of you, you know, and that became what I needed to make apparent to her, like in my formative years, like I'm not afraid of you, I'm not afraid of you, like nothing about love, nothing about acceptance, nothing about family. It was just like, I'm not afraid of you, and making her know I'm not afraid of her. And and all that also was like, and I take my love away from you since you clearly abuse it. But that's another story. But the fear's existence, the fear's existence completely infiltrated everything in our relationship, which is just another interesting point, I guess, about the fear that parents put into their children, however they do it.
And it's as you said, inevitable that it's gonna happen. And even if they don't want to, like even the trauma of birth is such a traumatic event and so scary that no one can just be born without fear. And I also think that fear is important because it's actually like lets us know when something is happening, when some danger is around. Like it was created in us humans biologically to be safe. So that's all good to have it, and it's all good to be friends with it. And so I feel like it's really, really actually cool that we have it. So do you think that you became a wrestler some kind like based on trauma a little bit? Like you were like, okay, now I'm gonna be so strong and so powerful, and I'm gonna be able to fight so that no one can ever hurt me physically?
I don't know. I don't know. I think that was just like an added benefit. I definitely think, wanting there's definitely some trauma behind it. I think it's trauma in wanting to be seen. I think it's trauma around wanting to be seen, not only seen, but seen as important. And like, look what I can do, love me now kind of thing. That definitely existed.
Look what I can do and love me now.
Love me now. And even in that, it's like at some point, and this is probably something for me to work through. And it's like, I can feel fear and go do what I said that I was going to do, like I can make my dreams come true. And yes, I should be promoted in that. But like, there's even like some of that performative, like kind of thing of my performative like trauma, like within even that, that statement of what I'm really good at helping people do. It's like, I did this thing. I fucking did it. Aren't I great? Love me, mom. like that.
I did love you, mom, with love for my mom.
Yes.
That's pretty interesting. But yeah, I love that you have a distance to it, and you can laugh at it right now. And I feel like when you understand the trauma and when you understand that no one actually wanted to hurt you, it's quite easy to treat it lightly, because it's like no parent wanted to hurt their kid. It's just that they didn't know what they are doing. And maybe me as a parent, maybe I'm also not gonna know what I'm doing. I'm just gonna try not to traumatize my kid. But how I'm gonna handle it, I don't know, because it's like almost impossible, because I have trauma probably as well still. So it's just like we're just gonna have to roll with whatever comes, right? And just be okay with it.
Constant overcorrection. It's like, I'm gonna try not to traumatize them, and then whatever you end up doing is what traumatizes them, and then they're gonna try to do the opposite, and whatever that ends up being traumatizes their kid.
Yep.
I do feel like it swings so wide, but I feel like as a collective, at least people like us are becoming, wiser than those that were before us, and those traumas, those hurts will be less effective, and the love will reign supreme, for those kids, and they'll have tools that we didn't have, until a few years ago, maybe. way sooner. And I'm so pumped to see what that like generation of kids looks like, because that's going to be some crazy shit this world's never seen. Like,
absolutely. And imagine our grandchildren and great grandchildren. That's gonna be like a whole other world. It's gonna be like so cool. So we can just get excited about it and look forward to it. But I feel like we already have a very freaking lucky life that we know how to heal and we know how to change ourselves, because I feel like if our parents knew it, if our grandparents knew it, they would already live very differently. But we are the generation that actually like brings it all up. So yeah, it's exciting what's gonna happen. And so I have another question, because you are an action mindset coach, and I want to ask about this action point, because I believe that you need to take action. For example, if you have some beliefs and then if you don't take action on it, now nothing is going to happen, even if you have all the set of beliefs. Because I work with a belief method called Psych-K, and there's always an action step that we talk about at the end of the session. But there are conceptions in some people's eyes, let's say, or minds, that you need to take massive action to reach your goals, whatever it is, right? And I kind of disagree with it, that it has to be massive action. And so I'm really curious to hear what you have to say about it, like massive action versus action, not massive, just aligned. Because I always say take aligned action, not massive action, because I feel like that's kind of taking massive actions for all these achievers who just like to push hard and who never feel enough if they don't achieve or whatever. And I don't like, I love, for example, Tony Robbins, and I think his methods are very effective, and I think that in his way, how he did it, he achieved so much. And he talks about taking massive action, and I know why some people might have this perspective, but also I believe maybe it's not that we shouldn't take massive action. It's more like it's not necessary always to do this. That's what I see. So what is your perspective on it?
Yeah, I call myself action mindset coach, mostly because it's like, what the hell do I call myself that's not like a million words? I feel like I started like mindset coach, and there might have been a time where I would have been massive action mindset coach, like legit. At some point, I stopped using that phrase because it does not always need to be massive action. I think that there are achievers that can pull that off, and they probably hit the wall at some point where they're taking no action or very little actions. And I guess the mindset of massive action, it does not always need to be big. We're all at like some point, a small point, and there will be times where we're inspired to just fucking leave it all out there, and there will be the times where it's like, all right, I gotta peel back as I have to. There are other folks that are, even just beginning. I think massive action, I mean, maybe at the beginning when you're so super motivated, that's possible. And then once that runs out, it's like, okay, I can't take massive action, so I'm just going to stop. And who knows what happens then. I feel like my journey might have been a little bit of that, where like I was just like at the start, like my first coaching program, to build my coaching program, it was just like go, 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 go. And eventually I hit the fucking wall, and it was just like, I'm not going to do anything with this for 2 months now. I think it's far more pressure on yourself than is necessary. And I think there's like, I don't know, if we talk polarity a little bit, there's some masculinity there, like a masculine like quality there, and we all need to dance in our feminine as well. And there is some feeling involved there. What can you do to keep moving forward? If it's massive, awesome. If it's smaller, awesome. As long as you're continuing to move forward. And if you come to a point of stopping, I don't think that you can always need to look at it as stopping. You're probably moving forward somehow. And if you really find no way that you're moving forward, okay, then what action can you take? All the times that I've felt myself stop, it was like, okay, there's a healing point here. So maybe I go do some breath work. Maybe it's time for some medicine. Maybe it's time for just a little easy medicine journey. That's not like the biggest one. But the massive part, yeah, action. Keep it action. And another reason I call myself action mindset coach, and I guess it doesn't truly speak to the other side of it, but I like to think that I'm just this nice point in the middle between the spiritual coach and the mindset coach. And it's like, oh, we're gonna look at your your energetics. We're going to focus on the healing aspect of this. We're going to get in contact with your higher self, and you're going to fucking take some actions that are going to actually get what you want to do. And it's like, we're doing it over there so that you can take action. So maybe I need to go spiritual action mindset coach. I'm not sure yet, but I just like to make that clear. And just like, I feel like I work to be a blend of two worlds that I think are different. And I think people like walk in between them. And I think there's people who are far on the spiritual side, far on the mindset side, and just like, yo, put it all together because it works so beautifully together.
Mm-hmm. And you cannot really separate one from the other, because we are the spirit in the human form. So if we take action, our spirit kind of takes action through us too. So, you cannot really separate it all at all.
I just, there's the people who I don't know what they believe in, and like just find the spiritual aspects so esoteric, mysterious, watery, who won't even consider it. And I'm like, yo, I didn't consider it, and now I can't get enough.
I
think it all needs to be considered. It all needs to at least be considered, and then you of course integrate what you can use. But I think that the middle path is such a beautiful place to be.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I agree with you with that action doesn't have to be massive, and that if you go, look, I think that for some people, for example, I'm really big on the typology of personality called Enneagram. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it or not, but in there are like three, let's say, centers that some people are more or less aligned with, or they have more potential or less in. So there are nine personalities, but three of them are more like emotional, three of them are more intellectual, and three of them are more action takers. And so, for example, for a personality number 4, who is an artist, very, very emotional personality, and it can have traits from an observer, which is quite intellectual personality, this personality usually has the biggest problem with taking action. So for this kind of personality, for instance, it maybe would be the best to take massive action for, let's say, a month every day, because then this is how they expand, right? And if someone is an achiever who just goes, then maybe for them, the biggest expansion would be to just not do anything for a month and to just take holidays, because for this person, the problem or the issue, the challenge that they are, struggling with is to actually take some days off. So I guess it is dependent on the person, what they need. But I feel like generally speaking, it's not about massive action. It's about just releasing resistance to whatever you want to achieve, and then of course take action towards it. But that's the feminine way of doing it, right? So you go into your feelings, into your resistance, into your fears, into whatever is blocking you from taking this action, and then you can actually take action from the masculine standpoint once you already handled the feelings. And I think that's the beauty of kind of like manifestation, right? And going with the flow of the universe rather than like pushing it like, okay, I gotta make this work. It's like, okay, make it work, but first see, maybe you need to do part work to discover the subconscious part of you that is actually resistant to achieving this goal. And then when you discover, oh, this part was actually scared of this because of this and that, and then you release the fear, then you're like, oh, actually it happens itself. Or I'm meeting some people that tell me something, or I have signs, or synchronicities, right, come to you, because then you don't resist it. There is no part of you that says, nah, we're not doing this stuff. So I think, as you said, it's a balance between the feminine work, which is just kind of like flow and receptivity, and also emotions, darkness, shadow work, with the masculine, like, okay, let's get something done and let's actually make things happen, right?
Absolutely finding that balance within ourselves. When you said the person who was like, I just have to go and make it work, and it's like eventually you will not work, or you're going so hard and there's something in you that you could just remove and then you'd be taken off. Definitely felt that.
Absolutely. So you need to discover what exactly is stopping us, right? Because this is the resistance that we're talking about. This is why shadow work is so important, because it's like, okay, because if you didn't have resistance to this goal that you have, then you would have already achieved it. Like, there has to be a part of you that stops you from it, right? And these parts can have such different reasons sometimes that we might not even consciously know it. But if we discover it, if we're like, oh, okay, if I just sit on a chair and say, okay, I take on a part of me that is scared of achieving this goal or that has resistance to achieve this goal. And then you journal or you just feel into it and record yourself on a video. And then you express it's like, oh my God, there's just so much in the shadow that I wasn't even aware of, that actually, yeah, that if I handle it, then I'm going to be more aligned with whatever action. And so last little question about this whole topic. Do you feel like it's different for women than it is for men? Also because of this balance of feminine and masculine energy and in the way that women and men work, is it different when it comes to action and also when it comes to courage, like how men and women operate?
Ooh. That's a big question. That's a big question that I probably should think about more before I answer, but I'm doing my best right now. I don't think there's a difference, as I think most people are not quite in alignment wherever, like with where they land with polarity anyway. There are plenty of guys who are feeling, and all they feel is fear, and they're not gonna do anything, so action means nothing. And then there's women who are like absolutely just do and not feel anything while doing until they hit the wall, crash, and like they're now not going to do this thing because clearly they weren't meant to do it. That's then they go into the feminine, right? It's like, oh, this wasn't meant to be. It's like, no, it can't be meant to be. You just got to look in the right places. So I think we just have such a spread of types of people, men, women, all genders, whatever, that it's hard to say that any one individual will be kind of, approaching things in a balanced way when it comes to being courageous or even taking action, whether it's something they're afraid of or not, just because, I don't know, this is what we need to learn in school. Like, one of those things you need to learn in school, like about this polarity thing, about how this is meaningless, but it's just like in general, like men do this well, women do this well, and we all need to do the other thing well as well. It's all over the fucking place, and we just kind of landed where we landed, and then we haven't like consciously, taken the time to do the work, at least to learn a little bit more about it. I think we're just kind of out there based on, what do we see as masculine action, feminine action coming up. Maybe we'll land where that was, and that can be anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, and I agree with you because we both have the polarity inside anyway. Whether we are more feminine in our essence or more masculine, we still have all the chakras, we still have all the qualities inside, and we can just decide when we're bringing out these or these qualities. Although I found that for me, if I don't take care of my feminine energy, where I can just be in the flow and just be more in my essence, because I feel like my essence personally is more feminine, then I feel resistance coming out. If I'm too masculine, if I'm just doing and not, dancing or playing music or just being more in my flow, then I actually feel that there's resistance coming up. But so again, that's all about self-awareness, right? Because when you're aware, when you know your shadows, when you know when you're starting to be out of alignment with yourself, then you can just pay attention to it and then change the course of action that you're taking, and then it's all going to be good and balanced. But you need to know also all parts of yourself, or almost all, because I don't know if it's even possible to know all, but you need to know yourself on a deep level to actually catch yourself when you're going beyond your boundaries for one part or the other, because we have all these parts inside. And so, yeah, I totally agree with you that there's no difference when it comes to that, because, yeah, we all have the same qualities inside, and we just need to sometimes dig deep into our shadows to bring them out, right?
Exactly. You got it again. You're killing it.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much, LeRoy, for sharing all that. And just one last little question: where could people find you if they maybe would like to get some more courageous vibes into their life and they need some support with their spiritual, path, or with maybe they struggle to take action? What's the best way to contact you?
Yeah, at Roy Flash Gordon on Instagram. That's where I live, basically. So please come check out the content. If it vibes with you, like it, send me a DM. If you need any support, I'm just super here to connect and help people do more of what they love in life. So at Roy Flash Gordon.
Amazing. I love your energy. You're just so like you have such a kind, just like embracing energy. I feel so lucky that I got to talk to you today, and you're just like so smiley. For all the people who don't see LeRoy and who just listen, I can tell you guys he's so sweet. So guys, go and see what his content is, because you're gonna love it probably, because I love the conversation. So thank you so much, beautiful brother, for being with us and sharing yourself with us. And it's just been a pleasure to talk to you.
It's been a pleasure to talk to you as well. You're a ball of energy and really so smart, well informed, and I've been appreciating being here with you. And thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, thank you.